All right, here we are. It's January 2015, and we have with us Mr. Joe Macilvain, who is the chairman of the Kern Groundwater Authority and a farmer here in Kern County. I'm Gene Lundquist, the interim executive director with the Water Association. Joe, recently the state of California passed what is known as the Groundwater Sustainability Act. This is real important, and that's why you're here at the county working on this. What is that?
Well, last year, 2015, Gene, the state legislature passed and the governor signed the Groundwater Sustainability Act, which requires all the basins in California, all the groundwater basins, to achieve sustainability by some time in the future, and the time varies depending on the degree of problem in terms of groundwater management. So our basin here in Kern County has been designated as a high priority basin, which means that it will be on a relatively fast track to achieve sustainability. And what sustainability means, as defined by the legislation, is that it will be free of undesirable effects of pumping, and whether those are groundwater tables which continue to go lower and lower over some period of time, or water quality issues, or whatever. The Act aims to ameliorate the undesirable effects of groundwater pumping. What this means for us as a county is that we're going to have to address our long-term use of groundwater so that over the long term it is sustainable.
And of course, this law doesn't just apply to Kern County, it applies to the entire state, is that correct?
I don't remember the number of basins in the state, but there are dozens and dozens of basins in the state. Each one of those has been evaluated for its current level of pumping versus the sustainability of that pumping. And what's going to happen is that each of those basins is going to have to address their own groundwater situation. Now, the consequence for not addressing the situation within any given basin is that the Department of Water Resources will then have authority, if it's not addressed, to come in and actually do it themselves and impose whatever restrictions are necessary to achieve sustainability.
Okay. Do other states have similar laws, and have they worked out okay? Because this is new for California.
It's brand new for California. Most states in which groundwater is, at least all the western states that I know of, have some type of groundwater management as part of the state government. And I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not familiar with how those arrangements are done.
Well, you've been selected as chairman of the newly formed Kern County Groundwater Authority, a joint powers authority. Is that a result of this law, and what is the authority trying to do?
Yeah, actually, we had started forming the Kern Groundwater Authority before this law.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, I think we foresaw the need for some type of groundwater management here in Kern County several years ago, and we've been working to put together an association of water districts and municipalities, which would include the entire basin here in Kern County, that could work cooperatively to address the issue of long-term groundwater sustainability. It so happened that this was somewhat prescient, because although we didn't realize it, the state was working in the same direction, and the drought certainly brought it on faster. This current legislation, which was passed this last year. So we're really actually here in Kern County sort of a step ahead. And in fact, we're a little ahead of the process at the state level in terms of sure, no problem. We're a little bit ahead of the process at the state level in terms of defining the issues and coming to terms with how we're going to address those with the various water districts and municipalities that we have in our group.
Well, that's admirable. Well, now let's just get down to, you know, the facts of the deal. How is this going to affect, let's say, a typical Kern County farmer? Is he going to have to reduce pumping, and is there a time frame, or what is going to happen?
You know, it's interesting. The effects of this legislation are going to be different for every landowner in Kern County and every resident in Kern County because the circumstances are so different. We have different water sources for each of the areas in the basin. We have different amounts of water from local sources such as the Kern River. We have imported water from the state and federal systems. We have all types of farming going on, and from all the way from dairies to row crops to permanent crops. So how it's going to affect an individual farmer at this point is a little hard to say. What is clear is this. Overall, we're either going to have increased surface water imports into Kern County, or we're going to have to reduce the amount of pumping that we do. We're somehow going to have to balance our water supply. And right now our water supply is frankly not in balance. We have some very good scientific studies going on right now to determine the amount of that imbalance. And we're not there yet. We don't know exactly what that imbalance is or how that imbalance will occur locally within the basin. So those are exactly the issues that we're working on now to determine.
And the law gives each basin time to try to come into balance and to form an organization that will deal with this. Is that correct?
You can come in. No problem. Yes, Gene, that's right. Each basin now is being given the opportunity to form organizations that will come up with a plan to address the groundwater balance. And we have a couple of years to come up with a plan, and then beyond that, several years to implement the plan. So overall, this is about a 20-year process that's envisioned, but we have to move ahead with it rather quickly because we need to have an organization in place by 2016, and we have to have a plan in place by sometime around 2018. And because of the complicated nature of this process, those may seem like long time frames, but they're not. Those are very short time frames to be able to come up with a plan of this complication and magnitude.
All right, Joe. Well, good luck, and thank you for the interview today.
Let me just point out one other thing. We're having public workshops, Gene, in which we're inviting people to come that are interested in this process and that want to know what's going on. The first one takes place this week, but we'll be announcing future workshops, and I really would encourage people to come and find out firsthand, ask questions, because virtually every landowner in Kern County will be affected by this process.
All right, and this includes not only agriculture, but it includes the urban area, household members. We're all affected. And even the oil industry has been affected.
Virtually the entire basin portion of the county is going to be affected by this process.
Okay, well, very good. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Thanks, Gene.